Brought food today. Incredible. Incredible. And I'm so happy Shara brought me cheesecake. Just saying, if you want to get in my good side, cheesecake. Cheesecake. So I have the good pleasure of introducing to you a fabulous metaphysician, incredible human being who I'm honored to know and call my prayer partner as well. So please help me welcome up Reverend Patricia. And as she makes her way up, I'm going to tell you a few things about her. Reverend Patricia discovered the science of mind when she was hired for the Monterey Church of Religious Science, back way when, we won't say way when. And she trained under Reverend Dr. Bill Little. So any of you who know him, he's been a pillar in the metaphysical community. And she became a licensed practitioner in 1984. With a brief stay in San Jose, she trained under Reverend J. And Reverend J trained under he was one of the last private students of Ernest Holmes. Of his brother, not Ernest, but of his brother Fenwick Holmes, which was a huge metaphysician in his own right. Reverend Patricia moved, her and Doug, her husband Doug, moved to Sacramento in 1989. I was just graduating college. I knew so much then, now I know nothing. She became an active member of the Sacramento Center, which is now the Sacramento Center for Spiritual Living, as a practitioner teaching classes, and then became the director of youth and family programs, as Carol knows as well, who went to that center, and became a licensed minister in 2004, or ordained in 2018. Her greatest love outside of her extended family and four-legged companions has been sharing both the practical and mystical teachings of science of mind. In her other life, Reverend Patricia worked for the California Psychological Association for 30 years and brings both her consciousness and her strong developmental perspective to her classes and workshops. She lives in Sacramento with her husband, Doug, and their 2 dogs and 2 cats. Must be very dramatic at times. Anyhow, please give me a big hand to welcome Patricia and Doug, and so glad they're here. And Patricia, is there anything else you'd like to add or say before I open it up for questions or anything people would like to say?
I think my journey has been much like anybody coming into the teaching. If ever anybody know of Raymond Charles Barker and his book, Power of Decision? Yeah. He was one of Ernest Holmes' contemporaries, and he's the one who led the New York church that my primary teacher learned under. So it's kind of like a guru in their lineage. I've got connections with the old guys. And part of that's just age, but part of it's just sheer luck at being, living under correct consciousness, luck, being in the right place at the right time. Isn't that lovely?
Living under correct consciousness, luck.
Yeah.
I love that acronym.
So I got grounded in the basics really early, but the basics only go so far. And after that, there's this whole mystical science of mind and heart that comes in. In the early days, it was all about the mind and manifesting what you wanted and, wealth and abundance, and that was the whole push. And it has changed so much over the years to science of mind is so much more integrative of the heart and the intuitive and the mystical. And I've been along for the ride. You don't lose the first part, you just gain more at the end. So that's kind of all I want to say. Anybody got questions?
Any questions or comments for Patricia? Reverend Patricia? And this is, we thought this is an opportunity for all of you to get to know her, because her and Doug will be here in person at least once a month, and then also watching online.
So what called you to Grass Valley?
I needed to grow. I needed to do more and differently. And where I was in Sacramento, there wasn't the space for me to be able to teach. And that's what I'm called to. I've never been a platform minister. Yeah, I can do the Sunday talks, and I'm okay with that. But where my heart opens is in a classroom. So Mitch looked at me and said, so why don't you teach? And I'm going, well, I can. It's like, no, why don't you teach? Why don't you come to Grass Valley and teach? And I went, ooh, that's an option.
And I went, yes.
So it'll be mostly online, out of my home on Zoom. We've got a great class going right now. But I'll also be doing workshops up here. And I haven't even talked to you about this yet, but if you notice, the subtitle to the workshop I'm doing in August is about the spiritual tool belt, the toolkit.
Yes.
So what I'd like to do when I'm called up here to do a workshop is think of it as it's another tool for your toolkit, another tool on your tool belt, because not one thing works for all. We all need different ways of approaching different situations, or at least it helps me to have a variety of tools. The old adage is, if all you have a hammer, everything's a nail. Mm-hmm. And for a long time, all I had was a hammer. And it was very effective in some situations and totally ineffective in others. So I had to expand. So I just will share some of the stuff I've picked up over the years.
And I just want to add that Reverend Patricia also has her own following. There are 10 people in her wisdom pattern class. I'm one of them. And, 70% goes to her, 30% comes to us. I mean, we're growing, by adding people, and certainly adding Reverend Patricia and all of her influence. So.
And that's one of the reasons I wanted to join here is you guys have a great center, and it's growing. And I want to support Mitch. He's just lovely. You guys are really lucky.
I would just like to give my 2 cents for a dear, lovely mentor who I also found at Sacramento Center for Spiritual Living before I came up here. And I have retaken 2 foundational classes with Reverend Patricia on my Practitioner Journey 2.0. And I'm also in the Wisdom Pattern. I have to say, if you want to really dig deep into your heart and your life, as well as with Rev Mitch, this is the teacher to do it with. She is a dear friend now, and we miss our Zoom coffees if it's too long. But I wanted to give her another wonderful, heartfelt recommendation. So I am your... So if there's ever a class for you to wonder about, Reverend Patricia helps us dig deep, dive deep into our own heart. And for this teaching, it's been fabulous. So just had to say that.
Isn't she going to be a great practitioner?
Yes. Hold on, right over here.
I'm Reverend Leslie Maria. I have known Patricia for 35 years. We went through ministerial training together, 7.5 years for that. We went through, and she'd been around way longer than I had. Yeah,
Older than dirt.
no, you've been around since you were little. And we both started out in religious science. What was the name of our church? Church of Religious Science. It wasn't Creative Living Center, though, was it? Avis's church?
Oh, it was on Main Street originally, yeah.
On the Main Street in Orangevale.
No, it was always international.
Oh, yeah.
Lori Lee started it on Main Street. Yeah, RSI.
Yeah, it was RSI. You've been there. You went there to speak or something. I remember.
No. It's a lot of history in the room,
I
that's all.
remember.
There's just a lot of history in the
We've got a
room.
lot of people here that have been around a while, and been through all these classes with Tricia. She's my sister now. You know, she's special. And she, oh, I gotta cry.
Don't cry.
No.
Don't cry.
Oh, I was thinking all the times I had cancer and you were there.
Yeah.
You slept next to me on a hospital bed. You stayed in my house and cared for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what love does.
And so did the rest of our group. And made it fun. Even when I didn't want to have fun. So,
All I did was feed her. That's what I do.
No,
is I
you
feed
cooked.
people.
One thing she did do was cooked. I have a bunch of Patricia recipes that are absolutely incredibly wonderful. She would be our cook when we had to go to Minnesota. What were we doing in Monterey? That was for the exams.
For the exams.
Yeah, and we hired her to cook. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I've got all the recipes. I make her sit down and write them out. Oh, we went there too. Yeah. Who was she? She probably does.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure she does. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, one of the nice things about working as the church secretary in Monterey, and literally I took the first class to answer the phone because we'd never had more phone calls than people in that first 3 months going, so what is religious science and how is it different from Christian science? And I'm going in my head, I don't know, I just work here.
Chana,
So I
can you
took the
relate?
class.
Where's Chana?
So I took classes and fell in love. But because of the Asilomar conference there every year, I would organize and run the bookstore. And I got to hear all the speakers. And a lot of the ministers have books. So they'd come into the bookstore and I'd get to meet them. So it was really wonderful getting to know people at a one-to-one level, not as the minister from the pulpit, you know, the great wise one. It was just people. And I really liked that.
Thank you. Oh, one more. Here we go.
I'm just curious where you were a little girl and grew up.
My father was career military, so several places, but mostly, believe it or not, Kansas.
Okay, Dorothy.
Absolutely. You have no idea how many times after I moved to California as an adult, it was like, oh boy, I am not in Kansas anymore. Hot tubs, massage, you know, meditation. What are these people doing? Yeah, I learned.
I just want to say that I just feel so grateful, not only for your presence and your love, but the consciousness that you're adding to our collective. And I see it, I know it. Doug as well, bringing his consciousness, also a very studied metaphysician. And I just feel like we're blessed beyond words right now, so to add you to our family.
You will discover the hidden gem that is my husband when you hear his poetry.
Oh, you don't want to miss that. August 24th. Reb Patricia will be speaking, Doug will be performing, and afterwards she'll be doing her workshop. So, yeah, mark your calendars. Wonderful.
I really look forward to getting to know you all. It's been a while since I've been on the outside, coming into a new community. You know, I've been on the inside for years and years, and you guys are making it so easy for me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Give it up for Reb Patricia. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. All right, now for the fun part. Not so fun for me, but I put a lot of hours into this, so hopefully it will all make sense to you. And just want to point out, this is our own Rev K and Carol doing a little tabling. Look at that. That was at the Pride picnic, and it was hot as Hades. But aren't they smiling real nice? Like, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know. So we're going to be doing our mid-year. We've through June have been 6 months into 2025, and we're going to talk about the survey, which I put on everybody's table, the summary of the Sunday survey, a little bit about attendance, and then into our financial report. And are we streaming? Wonderful. Rev Julia is joining us online, so everyone say, hi, Rev Julia. We love you. We miss you. All right, so the agenda is introduction, which I just did, survey results, then we're going to get into some attendance numbers, and numbers are looking good. That's the good news. And then our mid-year budget comparison, which we'll talk about, and some key considerations and reminders, and I'll be happy to answer questions you have. If we go along and you have a burning question, just pop up your hand, and I'll do my best to answer it. So, surveys. This is the high-level summary of our Sunday survey, and I want to thank everyone for filling those out last month. We got some more in between. What I can say is we got excellent good, 91 responses, somewhat fair, neutral, 18, and a few no's, which is good because now we know where our growing edge is. If this was all glowing report, I'd be wondering, where do we improve? How do we improve? Where do we go from here? So I took some of the comments here. One of them was more diversity, please. Say inclusive, but I don't see or feel it. So we have work to do there. Depends on who the artist is. This was about music. I'd love more people to come. Shorten the announcements. How are we doing with announcements? They're shorter, yes? Better, okay. Well, we're moving the needle. It would be nice to learn about the diversity of our members, spiritual learning tools. They lean towards pull for use. So maybe that might be an after Sunday gathering where we have that conversation, because I think that'd be fun for all of us to share that. Have more formal update on what's going on, board feedback. Today is a more formal update, and you're going to see numbers and what's going on and that kind of thing. And I repeated it twice because it was so important. Okay. Just make fun of it. What aspects could be improved? Inclusion. Number 2, during meditation, if children's church could be quieter. It's kind of a limitation of the space, but we're working on it. Sometimes having people going in and out of the kitchen during service is distracting. I get it, but when nature calls, you got to answer. Sometimes that's going on. Music, consistent new thought music. It's hard. It's really hard to find people who know new thought music that are local. We're working on growing people. Yes, Sharon. Yeah. Beautiful music that we all know. Yeah. Shorten it up. If something special is added, cut something out. So I've been working hard at that. When I see we have a speaker come up to receive a donation, I'm looking at the clock and I'm already mentally cutting out stuff. In fact, I cut out a whole piece out of my talk today. But I could do better, and I'm going to continue to do better. Music, more kids and more teens, and of course, we're working on that as well. Any other comments or suggestions?
I just have a question.
Yes.
So, Reverend, what is your target time for a service?
About an hour 5, an hour 10.
So we'd like to be out by 10 after.
Well,
By 40.
right, so it's 70 minutes. About 70 minutes. Sometimes if I can get a little lower than that, I try to. And it's usually somewhere in between. But thank you for asking. Does somebody else have another question? Nan?
I'd rather see the time come out of the announcements than your talk.
I would love to do that, but I'm going to circle back to that later, if I can, because I understand your point, but there's another point behind the point why we do it. And then after we're done with the discussion, I want to revisit that comment, if that's okay. Okay. Have a, where were we? Oh, steady audible background and music during meditation, which I think is happening. Yeah. Okay. Musician, just twiddle, twiddle, during the offering, not a full song. So how many would like to see a twiddle versus a twiddle? Just a twiddle. How many like the song? So twiddle is just playing a little music, and then when just 1 second, Pat, I'll get right to you. Then when the gathering is done, then we go right into the blessing versus the full song. So who would like the diddling of the music only? Who would like the full song? Okay, thank you. That's really helpful for me because I don't know where to put that. Pat.
I feel it's distracting for me to be taking the offerings during a beautiful song.
Oh.
I think the twiddle would be better.
Thank you for that feedback. And that's professional. She said she thinks the twiddling of the music would be better because she feels like she's interrupting people's experience of the song when she's doing the collection. Yes, Judy.
I think in terms of shortening the length of our time together,
Mm-hmm.
twiddling can be stopped as soon as we're done collecting. But if it's a song with many verses,
Mm-hmm.
it's going on
Mhm.
after the donations are done.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are trying to be more economical
Mhm.
and shorten the total time, I think that's a really good place to do it.
Yeah. Well, it feels to me like there's a consensus to try the twiddling. So we'll work on twiddling, Marilyn. You and I, twiddling. Okay. Thank you. That's very helpful. I don't even know where I was. Where was I? 3. Thank you. Speak of the value of service and tithing. So instead of twiddling, I'll add to service and tithing and go deeper in that. And we need to. We must. We must. It's not a nice to have. We must. And you'll see in a second. The light that goes on in the have a light that goes on in the children's room so they can participate in meditation. So the children can actually hear what's going on in here. We fix that speaker so we don't technically need a light, but I leave that up to the children's church teachers who are managing the flow, but I like that idea. Sign on South Auburn needs to be bigger for potential newcomers. We used to have a A-frame sign. It disappeared, and they're really expensive, so we got these other signs that if they disappear, it's not a big deal. I'd love to know another solution around this, and please keep thinking about it.
Get a post or something that would hold it in place, because there was nothing this morning.
Oh, really? It disappeared? Oh, somebody moved it? Okay. We can ask. All we can do is ask. Where's Diana? Diana, do you think the county would let us do something like that?
Yeah, we used to have a sign out there. It got stolen.
I know, but a permanent one. Like in the ground.
I doubt it, but
We can ask. Let's ask. And then we know. Maya.
Today was the first day actually coming in. I saw the big barn sign, right? 'Cause at the school they have the barn church and they do have.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, you really got to be looking for ours to say, oh,
Right.
I'm going to Sierra.
Yeah.
I'm already going there. But if I
Yeah.
was like, oh, let me find a church today,
Right.
I'll see the barn, but I wouldn't see.
Wouldn't see us.
So my idea, I don't know if it's possible, projection. If, like when it's time, we have a little light. You know how they project
Uh-huh.
kind of dark and shady, so it's bigger on the fence.
Ooh. Oh. I like what you're talking about. It's like at Halloween, you have those projected images, but have a projection of Sierra Center for Spiritual Living. I love that idea. We should look into that. I like that. Have a guided deep breath before the I've noticed breathing's been a little challenging for me. Is anyone's experiencing some breathing? So maybe some cues. Dong and a breath. Om. Not after each one, I don't think. Yeah. So just cueing. Maybe we'll talk about it at the ecclesiastical meeting and see what we can do. And maybe look at a remodel instead of moving. The footprint and the setbacks really limit our ability to expand. If we expand in the back, we take out handicap parking because of codes, building codes and we're in residential, I don't think they're going to let us go up. And then even then, we're still not visible and we don't have our own parking. And so I like where that thought was going. I think application-wise, I don't think it's going to move the needle enough for us to be worth the investment. So any other questions about the survey? Any other comments that you'd like to add? Anything that got missed that needs to be said for the good of the order? Okay. If something pops into your mind, everyone pinky swears that you will email or text or skywrite me your wonderful idea. Let's go through attendance. So we're going to look at the first 6 months of 2024 and, of course, January through June of 2025. So this is 2024. It's weird the way this doesn't fit on the screen. So in person, and this is per month average. So in 2024, January through June, per month average was 44 and a half people. I don't know which one of you got split in two, but my condolences. I should have rounded up there. In 2025, 79. Nearly double, nearly double. So that's 178% increase. YouTubes have went up, 11 and to 16 viewers each month on average, but our views have went way up. In fact, one of my talks took over the number 3 that was number 3 during COVID. It's up over 263 views. So that's, YouTube has really taken off. Children's Church, 1,000%. We average 10 kids a month. Wow, I love that. Total attendance is here, 57 and 106 on average per month. And then our offerings, this is non-members. The first 6 months, we averaged $179 per month, and it's up to $371 on average, which is really, so this all gives us hope, and hold on to that hope, because now we have to look at some budget numbers that aren't going to look great, but we need to remember that's just what it looks like right now. It's not where we're going to stay.
Gary has something.
Yes, Gary. Yeah.
So the in-person attendance for 6 months of 2025, goes all the way back to
January. Yeah.
2025. So at 79 there, that implies about 20 a month, or 20 a week.
Yeah.
And, from my remember of the numbers, today we had 42.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's, I'm just saying, okay, well, perhaps it's as much of a steady rise,
Right.
but monthly attendance right now, I would say, is like around 110.
Wow. Yeah, I think you're right. Because have you noticed the past few months, past few weeks especially? And what's really great, and thank you for pointing that out, Gary, is usually churches expect this in July. And I keep looking out going, where's everybody coming from? It's fantastic. So thank you for pointing that out.
I'd actually be glad to work with you.
Yeah.
I'm not sure of that 79 number.
Okay. Yeah, let's look at it again. I'm using the spreadsheet that's been maintained. So we'll just look at it. Maybe I had a math error. You never know. Yes?
You have offerings by non-members?
Yes. So we have two types of offerings. We have our members who give a pledge, and we have a pledge card, and we track that pledge separate from just the casual offerings that we get from non-members.
Because we have automatic.
Yeah, but it's not up there, so
Yeah, no, it's not, but I'm going to go over it in a second. This kind of is a bigger indicator of what we're drawing in on, kind of into the center now. It's the growth. It's a better growth indicator. Okay, any other questions about attendance? All right, on to finance. So this is, again, the first, so let me just back up a second. Boop. Okay, so mid-year budget review. So what I did is I took our the high totals of our 2024 actual, our 2025 budget for the year, and then I took our first 6 months of actual expenditures, and then I took July through December of 2024 to create a projected where I think we're going to land at the end of the year. And then I went through every single line item to see if that line item should be adjusted up or down. For instance, we have a lot more PG&E and utilities than last year. So I adjusted that line item up for the next 6 months. So I went through the line item after line item after line item. Okay, got my drift here. So that's what you're going to see is the what I call the estimated actual, where I think we'll land in revenues, expenditures, and the balance. So here we show this was our actual